Hi everyone, I'm going to do a quick top-up reading now on the NRA, and it got me thinking, why is it that Conservatives always kidnap the best words? So, freedom, fabulous word, and that becomes the Freedom Caucus, liberty, religious liberty. Well, it's not religious liberty for Muslims, obviously. What they really mean is medieval nutcases. And then there's patriot. Should be a term reserved for sport, I think, particularly. But certainly for government. And no, it gets co-opted by the far right. So always be very careful when you see the words, freedom, liberty, patriotism. Don't know why. They've made them synonymous with the opposite of all their religious meanings, all their political meanings. Yeah. Anyway, enough fluffing about. I want to do a little catch up here on the NRA because, as I'm sure most of you know, they've been exposed for yet more wrongdoing. In this case, some crooked insurance scam they had going. So, the first one is a little general one. What's happening in the NRA? Be interesting to be a fly on the wall for their meetings at the moment, wouldn't it? Okay, so they get the toss deck. And the first card is Dominion. Okay, Ace of Swords. Okay. The Two of Wands is their first card. And in other decks, this is a no-nonsense card. It's sort of... Twos are strong because they represent a duality. And so there's no doubt they are strong. But in the toss deck, the term that is used is dominion, meaning they use that strength to dominate. And for a long time that worked. It sort of fit the American narrative of itself, and so the NRA was seen as embodying American values. Yeah. Then they get the Three of Cups. This is in their past, which is celebration, abundance, all the good things. They grew and grew and grew. And we should take a moment to reflect, viewers, that apparently, I've never been someone who followed the NRA, of course, until fairly recently, but it used to be an organisation that was about responsible gun ownership, responsible use of guns. They wanted to distinguish themselves from those who had street weapons and so forth. So they were very popular and supported, and then it went crazy. You can see the sort of drunk on their own power, you could say. That's the phrase I'm getting here. They became drunk on their own power, and then, of course, we now have the next card, which is the Hierophant. So judgment coming down. The next question will be about the Russians. So this is just general. The Hierophant, the system, law and order. They used to represent the system, but they went AWOL. They just drowned in their own self-importance. And now the Hierophant is looking very closely at the NRA. And here comes the Ace of Swords, truth and justice. Look out. So the NRA has an image problem. It was starting to have a problem before the Florida shooting, but the Ace of Swords, that's, in a way, the Ace of Swords really reflects the direct nature of those young people calling out the NRA. It's always hidden. And now, of course, there's those wonderful memes that are out there, thoughts and prayers for the NRA. So, they're up for a $40 million bill for this insurance scam, but more importantly, the Russian stuff. It is now beyond doubt they have been complicit in the Russian money laundering. At best, individuals in the NRA can make a case. I didn't know. I really didn't know. But someone knew, because someone had to organise these meetings and transactions, and they had to meet with other people in the NRA and get their okay on these transactions. And as the Maria Butina trial comes out, there's going to be more and more detail. There's the connections with Don Jr. going to the NRA conferences. So the NRA and Russia. So the question isn't whether they did. So will it impact on the midterms? Will it impact on the midterms? And then I'll ask if it'll impact on 2020. Hope it's not too soon. So will the Russian money scandal impact the midterms? Will it impact the midterms? Oops. Okay, the card that fell out, viewers. Strength. They've got the strength. Let me pull it down. This is what I was worried about. The NRA, of course, has enormous influence in the heartland. And so, let's see what's happening here. Two of Swords, a crossroads and a decision. In the toss deck, this is called peace. There's a certain irony to that. Look at that card closely, viewers. You would not associate that image with peace. But what it is like fighting fire with fire or strength with strength. They are still very strong in the psyche. I'm absolutely convinced more legal things will be thrown in their lap. Yes, they are losing money hand over fist, but we're talking about just the midterms just now. They still sort of have their weapons in hand. Futility, that's better. Thank you, universe. The Seven of Swords, the rip-off card. So I'll just let you look at that for a moment. Illicit dealings. Okay, this is in the current column for them. So that would indicate there'll be some impact. Oh, wow. They get the Ace of Swords again. Isn't that interesting? Swords, swords, swords. Yeah, because they're a violent organisation. They fight for the right to violence. So I'm not surprised there's the swords here. I'm revisiting this Two of Swords, which is a crossroads or a decision. This could be inside the NRA. People are going to be saying, and I'm sure they are, we're going to cut loose these members and hope the organisation stays intact. I think that'd be one conversation. It's one interpretation. I think their supporters are also, some will be thinking twice, because that heartland's been brought up on Russia being the devil stuff. I think it's struggling. On the one hand, the Cold War is well over, but they really, when they were kids, it was all about Russia being the bad guys. When Reagan was in, it was all about, you know, the demonising of Russia, whether they could deal with Russia. So I think they're at a crossroads of what they represent. It will be futile for them. I'm just recapping here. Now, and Ace of Swords, truth coming down on their ass. It is obvious that the NRA will start to be sued with school shootings or other mass shootings or something, because they have actively stood in the way of America making more sensible and sane decisions. So there's inevitably going to be court cases. They've come to represent all that is stupid about the Second Amendment. They embody that mindless stupidity, and that tens of thousands of Americans can be just shot dead every year by other Americans. This is not tenable for a society. It's not a civilized position. So I think they're having a severe wobble, but let's just see what's happening with 2020 quickly, shall we? So starting to have an impact in the midterms, but not massive. 2020, what will happen to them? Adjustments, the sun on their dealings, money, and Queen of Discs. All right. Let me just show you here. This is called adjustment in Thoth. It's a bit like the judgment card. There is another judgment card, but if you look at it closely, they're being actively judged between now and 2020. How they behave, they should be held accountable for the funerals. They should be held accountable for the physical treatment and the psychological treatment of victims of mass shootings where they've supported this behaviour. So I think there'll be more of those sort of cases. The sun is being shone here on the Ace of Discs, fool's gold. So they've taken money hand over fist from the Russians, and it will come out. See the scales of adjustment. It's called adjustment. The scales of justice. The sun is being shone on this filthy money, and that they were absolute fools. The Queen of Discs, in this case, you'd have to say is Dana Loesch. So just ever so quickly, a clarifier for Dana Loesch is change. Yes, I will say she will have to step down. I mean, she should step down today, but she may well get the sack or have to step down before 2020. But they've got a lot to answer for. But they're important because they're symbolic of that thinking. So let's hope that the new America, the post-Trump America, really has a big think about these issues, and I'm sure it will. Oh, one more thing, viewers. The Empress did a wonderful video. It's, I think, a few weeks old now or something, and it's called Why God? Why Trump? And I think she's done a beautiful job in describing the spiritual lessons for all of us in the Trump horror. And I would recommend you go to the site. You can put in the Empress, Why God? Why Trump? And thank you, Empress, for doing it. We all say it at different times, but I think she puts it together really well, that all this ugliness is for a greater purpose. America will be a better country on the other side of this, but hell, it's going to be ugly getting there. So you've got to be realistic. It won't be easy, but ultimately it's going to change the society for the better. All these things will be looked at. So blessings to you all. Gotta go. See you soon. Ciao. Oh, can't turn it off. You might be stuck with me, viewers. Oh no, there we go. The mouse has decided to work.